1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6.
Communication, the human connection, is the key to personal and career success. I know that all of you use communication in your everyday life, such as on the job, talking out amongst your friends, or having a telephone conversation. However, the most important form of communication is communicating in a professional setting, so it's important for you to know the best practice to use while you're communicating at your workplace. In today's business world, social networking and cyber communication is practically a norm. Although these forms of communication are easy and convenient, they should not be used as frequently as they are. The best practice for communicating in the workplace, specifically with coworkers and clients, is in a face-to-face setting. And before I go on, I'm going to give you a handout with all the main points I'll be talking about. Let me start by explaining why face-to-face communication is the best at building more personal relationships with clients or coworkers. If you're having a one-on-one or group conversation with a client or coworker, you'll be able to build up more sense of a trust that cannot be accomplished when you're communicating through things such as email. After researching an article titled Leading Through Conversations by Ken Blanchard, I was able to grasp a better understanding of just how much of an impact a face-to-face conversation can have on building up a more personal relationship with a client or coworker. Besides being the basis of building relationships with clients or coworkers, face-to-face communication will also help you in catching nonverbal cues, nonverbal communications. Nonverbal communications are messages without words, such as facial expressions, body language, and attitudes. Nonverbal communication can happen all the time, and if you're speaking with somebody through things such as email, you will not be able to catch any form of nonverbal communication taking place. After looking into an article titled A Way Without Words by Kenya McCullum, I was able to see just how much nonverbal communication happens in the workplace every single day, and good ways to look out for it. For example, let's say you're in a meeting with a client and you're pitching an idea to them, and they may tell you with their words that they understand what you're saying and they agree with everything you're saying, but their facial expressions might tell you otherwise. If you notice things such as their facial expressions, you'll be able to catch these and you'll be able to give a further explanation or clarification if they have any sort of confusions, which you cannot do whenever you're talking to somebody via email. Lastly, face-to-face communication is the most effective when it comes to talking to somebody. Lastly, face-to-face communication is the most effective when it comes to getting things done quickly and smoothly. Whenever you're emailing somebody, yes, it could take up to about 30 seconds to send one email, but what about awaiting somebody's reply? An email conversation could take up to 3 to 4 hours, whereas a face-to-face meeting could take as little as 15 minutes. Whenever you have a group meeting with clients or coworkers, there's more energy and more ideas brought forth, and everyone has a better understanding of each other. After looking into an article titled The More Things Change by Ayo Maseka, I looked into a study where it said 70% of the respondents said that face-to-face communication was better in general, especially when it comes to things such as new client sales. So by now, I hope you all understand why face-to-face communication is the best when it comes to things such as building personal relationships, looking out for nonverbal communication, and face-to-face communication is the most effective way to get things done quickly and smoothly. Next time you have to have a meeting with a client or coworker, I challenge you to schedule a face-to-face meeting rather than doing it via telephone or email. I would like to take this time to answer any questions.
What if a coworker has a conflict, but they're afraid to address it face to face, so they would rather text message instead?
I would say to just explain to them how much more trustworthy it'll be for a face-to-face conversation, and explain to them that you won't be able to help them thoroughly if you're talking to them through something virtual, whereas if you're sitting with them face-to-face, you'll have a much better understanding, and you'll be able to help them much more thoroughly.
Do you think it is better to communicate with a client or coworker one-to-one or with a group of people present?
I think it depends on the situation. If you're pitching an idea that has to do with a whole company or a bunch of clients, I suggest they're all present. But if you're dealing with something that's more personal, maybe a conflict or something that just has to do with one coworker, I suggest that just both of you guys are there talking face to face without any other distractions present.
What do you think are some of the best ways to look out for nonverbal communication that may be taking place?
I think the best ways is to keep eye contact with the person you're speaking to. That way you're able to see all of their facial expressions, or maybe you'll be able to notice their body language and really just pay attention not only to the words they're saying, but how they're sitting or the way they're looking at you, or maybe any eye rolling or anything that happens like that. Now we all stand up again. Any count?
1,
2,
3,